Okay, so this is a dental probe. I use a dental probe to drill my holes through veneers because a dental probe spreads the fibers. It doesn't remove fiber, it just spreads it apart so that I can get the blade in. If you use a drill bit, it removes fibers, and no matter how hard you try, I mean, you can hide it, you can hide the hole, but it's removed fibers and you're going to have to repair it. This I won't have to repair because when it hits the press, it's going to squeeze all those fibers back together and it's going to repair itself. So good tip. It's just dental probe. It probably cost me $6 on Amazon. They're not very expensive, so it works real good. So really, I need two holes. I need a hole here for the heart, and I need a hole here for the Texas. I'm going to start with the small piece and take it out of the middle. The reason for that is if I cut all Texas out, then I don't have all this holding the veneers like I do if I cut the small piece out and then cut the Texas out. I'll have a whole lot less problems that way. So I'm going to put this hole right about where these two lines come together. I do it from the top, and then I do it from the bottom just a little bit, so it's going the same direction as the blade. The blade, by the way, is it's a 28 tooth per inch Olson skip tooth. I believe that's right. Yeah. It's 28 teeth per inch, a 2/0 Olson blade. There's a whole lot of others, and some people like the others, but I've used this since the start, and I've never had a problem with it. In fact, the only problem I've ever had was when I went to other blades. This one lasts the longest. It's like 3/100ths of an inch thick. It's so fine that you can't even believe it. When you put these pieces back together and you put them in that press, it seals itself. It's that fine. So very few gaps with that.
Oh, Wayne, when you've drilled the holes, can you hold that up a little bit at an angle so we can see where you drilled that?
Sure thing. Can you see that?
There we go. Ah.
Okay, so I just put that where these two lines intersect because I think that won't show up as much as that point right there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? In the saddle here would be a little easier, a little harder to see than it would be down here at this perfect point. Okay, my next place, I'm probably gonna stab it down here around Galveston Bay there. I think I'll just shove it in Galveston Bay. I was in Galveston. Oh, this steel is very soft, stainless steel, and it'll bend on you. You got to be careful. And I'm just drilling it over my pink insulation. Okay. Don't hold your hand under it either. Don't ask how I know that, but you won't hold it under there very long. Okay, so first we're going to do the heart. And I just take, my blade has a little crook in it at the end there. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're cutting veneer on a scroll saw is the speed of the scroll saw. Those guys that cut, that are really good at scroll saws, some of you guys might be real good at it too, but they're usually cutting wood. They're not cutting veneers. The veneers cut a little differently. And the speed of your saw makes a big difference. You slow it way down instead of going fast. It don't take much to cut these things. Come on, baby, you can do it. There you go. If you get to breaking blades, it's usually because you got it too tight too. And you're putting too much pressure on the sides of it. If you start breaking blades on a scroll saw, you've got it too tight and you're putting pressure on the sides. This is a King, which is designed after an Excalibur. I bought it at Woodcraft years ago. I think they sell them again there at Woodcraft. Excalibur started making their own saws again, but it's a really good saw. It has a 30-inch throat, and I'm able to do tabletops because in my marquetry, I make what I call road maps, and a 6 foot long, 7 foot long, 8 foot long, you name it, table by 4 feet wide. I can make them because when I'm due to design, I've got a road map through there somehow how I'm going to break those down into all individual different pieces and work on them like they're separate marquetries. Okay, let's see if I got this thing running. Nope. Okay, this has got a nice blower on it. This saw actually has a dust collector here. Never, ever, ever use a dust collector when you're doing veneers, because you'll get that little 1/8 by 1/16 piece and that thing will suck it down and it's gone forever. Always work with a clean floor. I cleaned this morning so that, I mean, I'll be able to find these pieces hopefully, but when you do these little ones, you make sure your floor is spotless. You don't want anything around. Make sure you clean up the dust from the last time you did it. This foam board also does about 1/10 of the dust that the old cardstock used to do. See how slow that's going? And you can tell your scroll saw will start vibrating. That's about right. I'm going to show you something about this blade. Don't try this at home, but look at this. That's my thumb in there, and it's touching it. I showed that to my daughter after I bought my grandson his scroll saw. He's about 10 years old. I didn't let him put his finger in it, but I showed her that these blades, the saw blades, 29 per inch, are so tiny that they won't cut your fingers. They'll cut fibers real good on wood, but they won't cut your fingers. Except if you got a little tooth that's been dinged and it's sticking out, then it'll cut you real good. You bleed all over your piece. Sometimes I make design changes as I'm doing this. And I know it's done because it quit making noise when the veneers were done. Always push your pieces out the same direction as the saw blade's teeth are going, which is down, okay? So that's what you want to do, is push it out. Look how nice and clean that came out. I mean, it's just, I think the extra thickness here helps guide the blade straight up and down too. And I failed to show you that, but you always, I know it was 90 degrees because I checked it this morning, but you always check with this method, with the packet method, that your blade is absolutely positively 90 degrees. every single time. Okay, so look at my little V-tongs. I can just set that. I'll set it over here. If I had a whole lot of pieces, I'd set it on a table far, far away from myself because I'm terrible about tearing things up. So we're done with that. Now we got to go to the other one. So if you guys got a bunch of boxes to make, now think about that, 16 of these, you can, 16 sheets of veneer, you can do 8 box tops with it. Cutting it one time. So that's pretty good. I'm not pushing it hard into that saw. I'm letting that saw blade do all the work. All the work. If you looked under here, there is like hardly any sawdust. You can't even see it on my hand. But let the saw blade do all the work. Just, I'm not shoving this around. Like I said, most people want to really push one side or the other, you know, trying to steer that blade. You steer your packet, let the blade stay in one place. That saw don't go anywhere. That blade won't cut unless you're pushing on it. So no hands. It looks like you're getting off, stop. And just work your way back slowly. Don't back up. Hit it again because it really looks like hell if you do that. Just stop and work your way back. Nobody will even notice. In fact, they may think you're brilliant with the way you did it. So if you're not good with the scroll saw, you're just learning, don't feel bad about turning it 90 degrees, believe it or not, while it stops, okay? Just you make better corners that way, believe me, than you will trying to do it. All this here was practice. You don't practice on your sharp corners. You want them nice and clean. So just go ahead and stop it. When you get to the end of the line, stop. If we had a intricate pattern with a whole lot of different veneers, you know, we'd be worried about things shifting around there. Well, what we do is I've got a pin nailer and it shoots 3/4 inch pin nails, headless nails. And I've taken a little stick, put under it, and shot it a whole bunch of times at 60 PSI until I had it just right where 1/4 inch sticks up and 1/4 inch sticks out the bottom. You do it on one of those paint boards, you know, just shoot it all over here and there. You don't need a whole lot of those pin nails to keep everything secure, but that keeps it from shifting when you got a lot of different veneers and a lot going on there and you're cutting all these different cuts. This I'm not worried about. Shoot, I didn't even tape it down to the substrate or to the backer board. So headless nail. Then that 1/4 inch sticking above and below, you take a hammer, put it down on a piece of like hard maple, like my bench, or piece of steel, whatever, hard drill press table, and bend them nails, the heads of those nails over that 1/4 of an inch. You always do them the same direction on every single nail, away from the line, okay? You don't ever want to do that, because if you put them over the line, this blade will cut through that pin nail, but it dulls it so bad that you're gonna have to put a new blade in. So something to keep in mind when you're doing your own.
So Wayne, you have a foot switch for that scroll saw?
Pardon me?
Do you have a foot switch that you're using on the scroll
Yeah.
saw?
Oh, good. Thank you for asking. Yes, definitely, 100% definitely. Get yourself a foot switch for your scroll saw. Okay. I bought some real good ones on Amazon, and they're actually better than the one this one came with for like $30, $20, $30, something like that. Had a longer cord. This one has a really short cords, which I don't like, because sometimes when you've got a big piece, you're standing 3 feet away from the blade. And you're standing 3 feet away, trying to keep your belly out of the way and shove that foot of yours 3 feet towards the saw. It's, I bet if somebody come by, they think you're nuts. This is the Red River. I'm giving you guys a good geography lesson here too.
Okay.
Right, coming up.
When you get the pieces cut out in the packet form, do you ever have to clean up the edges with of the veneers with a chisel or sandpaper?
No, unless there's been a shift, okay? If there's been a shift, you'll get fuzz on the edges of them, but don't worry about it. When you put it in the press, it'll take care of that fuzz.
Okay.
Good question.
Well, they're coming in. I've got one more question about how do you make sure your blade's at 90 degrees?
I got to show you that. I had a niece that worked for Hilton, and that's my room key. Okay, it's a perfect 90 degrees. They stamp these things out. They wouldn't want to lose a 1/10 of a penny. It's a perfect 90 degrees. And if I don't have, it's not much room in there, I just use that to make sure it's 90 degrees. Or I use a square, but normally Hilton. The reason I told you my niece worked there is I'd get like 70% off on rooms and stuff as I was traveling. I always had a lot of them. But I've got a little square I use also. Now I use almost exclusively Certainly Wood. Gets 90% of my business. The other 10% is B&B Rare Woods. They're in Denver, and I usually buy my colors, my colored veneers from them. And they have colored veneers. Certainly Wood has color veneers on poplar, most of it. But B&B has color veneers on the Kodo, and all different cuts of Kodo, all different grain patterns and stuff. It's really pretty stuff. If you're doing colors, if you're doing flowers or something like that, don't worry about getting the perfect color or something like that. Contrast is 10 times more important than color. So you could take a light wood and a dark wood. That's more important than getting that perfect orange, or that you're not going to get that perfect orange, bottom line. Just look for a nice contrast, and you're a whole lot better off. See how this one worked out. I can tell you right now it's good, just by the way it's starting to come out. You want to be real careful how you, I can push these because I've got a pretty good feel for what that veneer is doing. But you want to be real careful how you push your pieces out, because it's disheartening when you pushed it out and you broke it into about 15 different pieces. So not bad, huh? Nice, clean, flat, straight lines, cut right all the way through. So we'll go back over here and put it together. Over here. Don't ever put your scalpel down on the table. I did it just to get this thing to do that drilling with. But don't leave your scalpel down on the table, because what will happen is you'll see something and you'll sweep it like that, or you'll reach for something and it'll slice you wide open. I know that for a fact.
Mhm.
B-tones. Okay, well, we'll just cut along here. We're just cutting that tape. Okay, so got to be real careful, because that tape will try and hang on to that veneer. We've got these okay. So we'll get Texas all lined up. By the way, you're wondering what this tape is. The tape, when you're taping it down so it doesn't shift and all that stuff, it always goes on the show side instead of the bottom side. You're protecting the show side is what you're doing when you do that. Okay, and then we're going to take some of these stayed out lines and we'll look for nice colors.